What's up, guys, and welcome to another edition of Market Marauders, beating the market one trade at a time. If you're new to Market Marauders, the investment channel helps you to find the best deals in the market. If that's something you're interested in, make sure you hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Definitely helps the YouTube algorithm promote the videos. All right, so I'll be going over my 2021 trading strategy. 2020, it's been a crazy year. It's a crazy year for everybody. But in 2021, going to be giving you my strategy on different sectors and different stocks that I think are going to be poised to move forward or going to be poised to be going up as 2021 begins. First things first, if you're not a member of the Patreon group, make sure you go check out the Patreon group. I have daily watch lists on here as well as live streams, so make sure you check it out in the description down below. Also, if you're going to sign up for Webull and get 4 free stocks when you deposit $100 or more, that link is down below in the description as well. All right, so let's jump into it. First one, we're going to talk about the EV sector. I think the electric car or electric vehicle sector is going to be poised and is red hot to grow, in my personal opinion. Now, if there's some EV stocks that you're like, oh, why didn't you talk about it? There's no way to go over all the EV companies that are out there or this entire EV space. So I'll be trying to go over some of the main ones. And then, if they're more on there and you want to help everybody else, make sure you drop them in the comment section down below if there's something that I missed or any sector for that matter of fact. Make sure you drop it down below. It definitely helps everyone else out. I know all these sectors have multiple different options of stocks that you can choose from, whole basket of stocks you can choose from. So I'm just trying to go over some of the main ones just so everybody can get a gist of the different sectors and what stocks they can be looking at in 2021. So first on here is Tesla. So Tesla market is still open. It has touched $718.72. But as the market is still open, it is at 716 or 716 area at the current moment and still going up or running sideways. So background information on them. So this year they had a reverse split, which is the 5-for-1 split. So before that, they hadn't had a previous stock split, but they had a 5-for-1 split, and I think that helped the stock or helped the company in general to gain money as time goes on, and it was definitely a very important move for the company moving forward. Next, in quarter 3 2020, their vehicle production was up, so their Model S and X was up, and their Model 3 and Y was up. They do have other vehicles that they're making, so they're doing the semis as well as the Cybertrucks and the Roadster. And then they talked briefly about a cheaper alternative vehicle, like a compact vehicle, but they didn't announce the name of that or when they're going to be doing that. During 2020, they also released or talked about Berlin, the Giga Berlin factory, having their groundbreaking ceremony, as well as beginning building. So that building is in progress of being built at the current moment. The Gigafactory Shanghai opened up towards the beginning of this 2020. But as you do know, we did get hit with the pandemic, but Shanghai still produced very good numbers overall, in my opinion, even though that happened, and the whole company still produced really good numbers while that happened. Another big thing that happened is that Tesla got added to the S&P 500, so that is a very big move for the company and definitely very notable achievement, in my opinion. Lastly, in 2020, we had Battery Day. So this is some of the highlights of Battery Day. This is their press release that they had during that day. I'm not going to go over all of it, but if you want to, you can go on their website and look up the Battery Day press release. But they basically announced a new battery with better charging capabilities as well as a cheaper way to make them. So they announced this plan to halve the cost per kilowatt hour. So a new cell design, new cell factory, new anode material, cathode material, and cell vehicle integration. So that was basically their plan. So overall, make factories more efficient while getting more power to these vehicles. So this basically is their breakdown of the battery production per vehicle type. So you have the semi-commercial, the pickup truck, which is Cybertruck, luxury SUV, and then the compact and midsize. And then on here it says the goal terawatt hour, so non-renewable electricity, coal heating, gas heating, oil heating, future EV, and then future growth. So you all can go and check that out. But this was their battery day, which was a really big event that happened this year. So I think they're poised to continue to grow. Capital is not really a problem for them since they did that reverse split. They definitely have a lot of capital under their belt. So I think they have enough money to do what they want to do. Basically, I think it's just a time thing and an innovation thing for them company wise. Next in the EV space, we have ticker on NIO for NIO. They're currently at $49.09. They did touch $50.50 today, but kind of went down after that. Market's still open, so we'll see if they touch that $50.50 level again. But we'll double check on that, or you can check on that after the video, or determining whenever the video comes out. You'll see whatever price it is. So bear in mind, this is when the market is open, so this price is going to be different from whenever you watched the video. So for NIO, they are an EV company. They make electric vehicles. They're based in China. This is some of their vehicles: the C6, that's a tongue twister, the ES6, and the NIO ES8. So they are based in China, like I said, but the company as a whole has just been going up like crazy in 2020, and I think they had really good delivery numbers, as well as they weren't really affected too much by the pandemic. So if we look and go to the day chart, we can see at the beginning of 2020 for this one, or at least back at the beginning of 2020, they were like at $2, $4 a share. Now they're all the way at like $50 to $40 or $49 a share. So definitely had a fantastic 2020 for this one, and definitely going to be poised to have an even better 2021. Next sector I want to talk about is the vaccine market. So there are two main ones on here. First, we have Pfizer, which has kind of been up and down, but overall in 2020, I think they had a really good 2020. They went all the way up to 43.08, and then kind of gone sideways since then. Just reading some of the press releases, if you're not familiar with the timeline of things that happened, they were the first ones to come out with their efficacy numbers for the vaccine, and then they got their first approval the 21st from the European Union, and then the U.S. got 100 million additional doses, or ordered 100 million doses, and then they announced that they got FDA approval, so that happened as well during that time. And it seems like they're going on with other different drugs that they make, so they're not just focusing directly on the vaccine. So the vaccine is not the only thing that they produce. By the way, they produce a lot of different things besides that. On the 12th, it says the Committee of Independent Experts recommended the vaccine, Pfizer and BioNTech, in persons 16 age or older. So they basically got the first approval after they came out with the efficacy numbers. But I think overall, as a company, they've been doing fantastic. Even though the stock price doesn't really reflect that, I think they've made a lot of smart strategic moves. And kind of, they still got backing from the government, but kind of did their own thing as far as the whole vaccine rollout was concerned. So I think Pfizer is definitely going to be one that I'm going to be looking at in the future, with more of the updates on distribution of the vaccine, as well as how they're going to be manufacturing it moving forward. So this is just kind of like the first step. They got the first batch out, they got approval, but then I'm going to see how they're going to do supply chain, and then all the other things that the company does, like these other pharmaceuticals that they make. So next we have Moderna, which is the other big vaccine name that came out this year. So they went up to 178.50 based off of that news and their approval. But overall, I've had a pretty good 2020 in my opinion. Going on their timeline as well, we can see they had a similar timeline to the Pfizer vaccine. So we see on the 7th, Canada exercised the increased option for a total of 40 million doses of their mRNA vaccine. Switzerland increased for 7.5 million doses, so their orders began to come in. The first participants dosed, so their trial and stuff began on here in that timeline. And then on the 18th, they got FDA authorization from the U.S., and then they got the CDC approval for 18 years or older. So the Pfizer one is 16 years or older. And the Moderna one is 18 years or older. Health Canada authorized it, and that was on the 23rd. And then they got 40 million doses order from South Korea. And then now it says that they announced publication results from the phase 3 of the New England Journal of Medicine. So it's basically been publicized now, all the stuff that was going on during that trial, the phase 3 trial. So I think overall they've had a pretty good year. I think the same thing with the Pfizer one, going to be looking to see how they continue with distribution as well as their rollout. Now there are other companies, that are working on vaccines, but these are the main two in my opinion. I think today recently AstraZeneca got an approval, so then we're going to be looking for the Johnson & Johnson one to come out and get approval. And then, INO has one that I think is in phase 1. So there are a lot of other companies out there. These are just the main two, just touching over the highlights. But I will be keeping an eye out on vaccine companies as time goes on. Now, next I want to get into the energy markets. So I think the energy field in general is going to be a red hot sector as well. First off being Plug Power. Now, Plug Power, I think, is a sleeper stock, and I say sleeper in the sense that I remember following this stock when it was like dirt cheap. Now, you can go to my channel and look, but I've been reviewing this stock for quite a while. If we look at the beginning of 2020, this stock was all the way down at $3.50 a share, and I remember talking about videos when it was that cheap. Now, they've gone all the way up to $37.51, which was like the highest that they've been. But they are currently at $33.97. So I've kind of followed this stock for a long time, but I think overall, in general, this is just the beginning for the company to continue to go and move forward. So I think the company definitely has a lot more growth left for them, and will continue to grow even more in 2021. Now, background information on them, just going to read some of the highlights of their press releases. It says Plug Power announces proposed public offering. Then it says the price upsize public offering. They raised $1 billion to accelerate first nationwide green hydrogen network. Now, that was something that Nikola Motors was trying to do, but it seems like Plug Power is actually, executing it. Plug Power and Gaussian collaborate on hydrogen power transportation vehicles, and Plug Power expands hydrogen and fuel cell solutions into Walmart e-commerce applications. Now, if it was any other company that was talking about partnering with Walmart, I think the stock would have been through the roof, but I think this was kind of overlooked. It's not really put in the media, but I want to go over basically what this entails. So reading some of this, it says Plug Power supports more than 9,500 GenDrive fuel cell powered vehicles used by Walmart at 37 distribution centers across North America. Plug Power began expansion of hydrogen and fuel cell solutions into Walmart's e-commerce network, with first deployment in August 2020 and additional expansion planned in 2021. Flexible scalability and benefits of fast fueling make GenKey hydrogen and fuel cell solutions uniquely suited to the rapid growth and peak demand of e-commerce applications. And then it says Plug Power products consistently operating in Walmart's material handling fleet at 99% uptime with constant power performance. And it says during a pandemic, Plug Power's products have enabled leading retailers like Walmart to fulfill increased demand from customers at a rapid pace. So I think this is, fantastic news for Plug Power in general. And I think, it's a very smart move by their CEO, or the company in general to do this. And I think, it will definitely help, and more press releases probably going to come out about this in 2021, but I think it was just overlooked. If you look at the stock price, it doesn't really reflect this move really happening. If we look on here around the 15th, we can see the stock was around here, which was around the 26.04 level. It went up to 37, but that really isn't that high of a level to me, or a $10 move doesn't really seem like that's that big based on the news that came out. Next, we have ticker sign FCEL for fuel cell. So this still being in the energy market space. I think fuel cell been following them since they were, right around this level right here. You can go on my channel. I have a playlist about fuel cell. So if you want to look at fuel cell videos in the past, I talked about the company way before, they got their new CEO, Jason Few, who, I think has done a fantastic job with the company. Before he came on, fuel cell had a lot of problems with backlogs and back orders. But I think the company as a whole will continue to grow under the direction of Jason Few. And, I kind of, look at the company based around their CEO and their board team, because I think those are people who really can help, shape the company. So if you want to look at some old videos on fuel cell before they got their new CEO, as well as a couple of videos once they got their new CEO, then you can go on my playlist and look at those. They did touch 1391, so that was kind of their high for 2020. But overall, I think the company is poised for more growth. Background on them, they just had a public offering that was closed of 39 million shares, almost 40 million shares. Then they seek to have project awards restored, and then they got a project award from the U.S. Department of Energy. So, if the U.S. Department of Energy is, shouting them out, I think, they're kind of on the right track for what they're doing. It seems to be that they're getting a lot of public offerings, just means they're trying to, rally up some capital, in my opinion, to get this stuff done. So I think they have some big stuff coming around on the horizon, but going to be looking in 2021 for more press releases and articles to see what they'll actually be doing and their plan forward for 2021. So out of the energy stock sector, I want to go over to Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin is something that I think was kind of overlooked by a lot of people. I think a lot of people are still speculative on Bitcoin. But overall, I think, I kind of think people look at Bitcoin as like you can't afford a whole Bitcoin because it's expensive. But, if you look around, January, the beginning of last year, if you would have bought one whole Bitcoin at, at $7,000 basically a Bitcoin, and where it's at now, $28,678 a Bitcoin, you would have basically made about 20 grand in 1 year. So, even with the pandemic and all this stuff going on, if you would have just been like, I'm going to buy one Bitcoin, or not even a whole Bitcoin, you could have bought a partial, Bitcoin or whatever you could afford at that time, you definitely would have had quite the return going into 2021. So, I think this is one of the ones that's overlooked by a lot of people in the investment community because there's kind of like this divide that I've seen where a lot of people who invest in stocks don't really invest in Bitcoin, and a lot of people who invest in Bitcoin don't really do stocks. Now, there's some that's not, a generalization to say everybody doesn't, do both, but it seems like there's a whole group of people who just like focus on cryptocurrencies, and they don't really focus on stocks. And the people who focus on stocks don't really focus on cryptocurrencies. But I think they should be like one and the same, in my opinion. Like, if people trade commodities like gold, those kind of get grouped into, stock trading. But Bitcoin, in my opinion, isn't really looked at as a commodity, which it really is. So, I think the growth of Bitcoin kind of speaks for itself in 2020. I mean, this chart, 2020 20 grand difference. There are not really any stocks that can say they gained 20 grand in 1 year. So I think Bitcoin's definitely poised for another breakout. And if it can grow another 20 grand next year, you'll have 20 grand. So if you started this year and, it went up 20 grand, next year it goes up 20 grand more, that's 40 grand you would have by just basically letting it sit there and do its thing. The nice thing about Bitcoin is it's 24 hours, so it trades all the time. So, there are plenty of opportunities for you to jump in. But, that's what I'm going to be definitely keeping my eyes out on for next year. So back to stocks. We see Palantir, which IPO'd this year. So I think the cloud space, cybersecurity space, is going to be red hot. I mean, there was a cyber attack that happened this year. It seems to be a priority on Biden's mind, but not to get into politics or anything, but it seemed to be a priority in his mind on, cybersecurity, as well as, this whole election thing and people talking about election fraud and, all these cyber attacks and stuff like that. I think the whole market is going to be, one of the main focuses for a lot of different government organizations, as well as, companies in general. So I think if we keep that in mind, to see that it's on the mind of a lot of people and a lot of organizations, then us as investors, especially retail investors, could take advantage of the sector. So a technology sort of, I guess, data acquisition type company is Palantir. That's kind of how I would frame them. And I think, they're poised to go up even further than where they're at. They're currently at 23.72. They did touch 33.50. Quite a while ago. So I think they definitely have potential to go up. They kind of have a cult following, meaning a lot of people follow this stock like religiously to try to trade it. But I think overall they have a lot of things going for them that are positive. So going into their press releases just from 2020, we can see they have a lot of different, things going on. $91 million contract, $36 million contract, $44 million contract. They're doing mission command space with the U.S. Army Futures prototype. They joined the Trinity Challenge. They're awarded a contract to support U.S. Navy Noble systems. And so just overall, a lot of money and a lot of different projects are coming to this company. They got a partnership with the FDA. So, I mean, these are big things that this company is doing, and I think that as time goes on, they will continue to do these contracts and get this money under their belt, and their financials, I think, are going to look fantastic to start 2021. Next, we have Crowdstrike. So on here, Crowdstrike is currently at 210. They did touch 227.36, but they're currently at 210.50. The market's not closed, so it's not over yet. But I think, this company being in the cybersecurity space will definitely help a lot of companies going into 2021. So background on them, just reading some of their press releases. CrowdStrike enhances visibility and automates analysis into incident response investigations. CrowdStrike advances cloud and zero trust offerings in partnership at fall.com. And then CrowdStrike to advance threat intelligence offerings with industry-leading situational awareness. So, a lot of things this company is doing overall, I think, are pretty good and will help in the cybersecurity field. So CrowdStrike Services Cyber Frontline Report reveals widespread remote work has broad-reaching effects on cybersecurity. So they said the report revealed 68% of organizations fell victim to intrusion, experienced an additional intrusion attempt. So, for this company to be pointing out these different flaws in the, I guess the armor of these different companies, IT, defense, or cybersecurity, then, this company is going to be around for a while for doing that. Next, I'm going to jump into the last sector, which is the stay-at-home sector. So, given the pandemic, a lot of people changed the way that they live their lives by staying at home, working from home, working remotely. A lot of companies, went permanently remote. So I think in general, the companies that went permanent remote those people are changing their way of lifestyle, so they're getting used or accustomed to that lifestyle. So companies like Peloton, which I think had a fantastic year, I think will continue to grow, and is in the stay-at-home sector. They did touch this 167.37 recently. They are at 151.23, but I think Peloton took advantage of the situation from stay-at-home and have capitalized on that to continue to grow their business as a whole. So going into some background on them, they did have a collaboration with Beyonce. So that was one positive move that they had forward. One negative thing they had was they had a recall on one of their bikes. One of the pedals was bad, but that kind of, got overshadowed by the fact that they were partnering with Beyonce. It says that they grows Plano campus by 100,000 square feet. So it seems like they're having money to grow, and they just acquired Precor. So the company is growing. And this whole Beyonce collab, they said they took a poll on who was the favorite or the most requested artist, and that was the most requested artist. So the company actually reached out to get her to do some collaborations with them. So I think them listening to what their customers are asking for, as well as continuing to grow and make quality products, will help this company moving forward. And especially considering, I think a lot of people are switching from going to the gym. I think this is going to be definitely a different 2021. Every year you always see people flood to the gym, to start their New Year's resolution of I'm going to lose weight. But I think this may be the first year where people actually do not flood to the gym, which, is rare to say. But I know in a lot of states, they're still not under lockdowns, but they're still under guidances of a certain amount of people allowed in the gyms, or a certain amount of hours. Their hours aren't the same. So I think that all will affect the psyche of people, going to the gym or wanting to rush back to the gym. Peloton being that alternative to still be able to exercise from home. So I think the company will continue to grow based off of that. Lastly, we want to talk about Zoom. Zoom is in the stay-at-home category, in my opinion, but they were definitely able to capitalize from this 2020 era. So they did touch 588.84, but are down to 340.17. I think a lot of people sold off the stock or just took profits because it was the end of the year. But I think a lot of people are going to be rebalancing and adding Zoom back to their portfolios because I think, Zoom's not really going anywhere. So Zoom kind of adapted to work at home and took advantage of that by having, their video calling services available. And a lot of companies were jumping onto that. And this was even before Microsoft Teams really came out. Now Microsoft Teams came out, people kind of, used that a little bit, but I still think Zoom is the number one out there for people using for remote work. Now, background on Zoom, and this kind of speaks for itself on the validity of the company growing. This is their third quarter results that came out in November. So their total revenue is $777.2 million. Which was up 367% year over year. And their number of customers contributing $100,000 or more was up 136%. And there are approximately 433,700 customers with more than 10 employees, grew up 485% year over year. So the company is definitely growing, and I think in 2021 it will continue to grow. The growth may not be as dramatic as this is because this is the initial people getting into Zoom and understanding what it is, or converting over from the work at home, or just trying Zoom out for the first time. But I think as time goes on, Zoom's basically a household name now. So I think it's gonna it's basically validated by all these people using it. So I think because that's the case, I think Zoom's going to continue to grow. A lot of corporations use Zoom. A lot of small businesses use Zoom. So I think it's going to continue to grow. So that's the list, and that's going to be my strategic plan moving forward into 2021. I'm definitely going to look at EV market, the vaccine market, energy market, Bitcoin, cloud market, slash cybersecurity market, and the stay-at-home space market. I think all of those will benefit. If there are some stocks that you guys have seen that have been in that sector that you may say I've overlooked that had a fantastic year, make sure you drop them in the comment down below. It definitely helps everybody, kind of point them in a direction of what stocks people think are good, and then they can look them up themselves and do their own due diligence. Make sure you also go, while you're down there in the bottom, that you go check out the Patreon page for daily watch list and live streams. And if you want to sign up for Webull and get 4 free stocks when you deposit $100 or more, link down below in the description for that as well. All right, Happy New Year to everybody. Hope everybody has a good year. Hope everybody's able to lock in some profits this year. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.